Hey, Facebook, happy Monday. We're here on a Monday. We're all three here today.
All three.
Back from Canada. They let her back in the country.
They did let me back in the country. Hooray.
Keep saying after everything.
I only heard A one time, and I laughed as soon as I heard it. I was in my head. I'm like, oh, there's the A.
Did you go to Quebec? Did you speak some French?
I attempted to speak French, not very well.
I heard that Brian spoke Spanish in Quebec.
Brian did speak Spanish in Quebec. He was trying to say he didn't know merci yet, and so he said gracias to a waitress, and it was like wrong.
Oh, there you go.
And they probably in French said, "That's stupid American."
Yes, exactly.
We're going to talk about that on Friday's show, so stay tuned
Yes.
for what we're doing with this one right now. So,
Oh my gosh.
questions, ask them in the chat. We're going to hit some from the inbox and have a good time. So, thanks for being here, Jessica. Thanks for checking in from Oregon. Appreciate that. 33 days. So, you'll be there. Oh my gosh, November. That's the perfect time to go.
Yes.
Kristen's here. Hello in Chicago. Sorry about your Cubs today.
But-
Gotta play tomorrow for your lives.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, the bronchitis came back, which is super fun. I've been coughing the whole time.
It's like
Yay.
onboard credit, you know. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, the onboard credit. Pam knows all about that onboard credit.
oh, Michelle did the same thing. She said,
Michelle, good job. Good job. I don't think
Paris. That's even better.
that's even better. I don't think I'll let
good.
Brian live this one down either, which is pretty awesome. So, not gonna lie.
Oh, hey, Rhonda's from
Rhonda's in Nova Scotia. Yeah. That's where I went. I was in Halifax.
Sure. I know. In
Yeah.
Indiana, almost Nova Scotia, kind of the same thing. Not really.
Not really, no.
No.
Okay, let's do this.
Not really.
We're glad you're all here, though, so hang tight. We're going to get going. We'll get to these questions about Magical Express and all that stuff.
Here comes Opie again. Who wants to see Opie? Come on.
Cat. Here we
There he is. There he is.
What
He
number?
says, hi, everybody.
Why did he leave?
Because he wanted to. Say hello. Wave.
89.
We had a cat that looked just like that. He was like 14 pounds. He was a big
Yeah, he's a
cat.
big boy.
It's not a cat. That's a tiger.
He was named. His name was Woody.
Okay. he's a big cat too. He's got a gut on him. And yeah, he's not happy with me right now.
Oh, Jay's here for the souffle. Souffle. Suffle.
Yep, now I made him mad. Oh, he's still gonna lay down.
He's here for the suffle.
Yes.
I love Jay. I miss Jay.
What up, Epcot?
All right.
Oh my god, that was so hysterical! Best picture ever. Truly,
It
That's
is a
Steve
picture.
Forrester's gangster self.
All right, let's do
Mike
this.
doesn't know. It's okay. It's
Yes,
all right.
you do. Look on the face tube. It's there. Of course, my Steve won't see that for days because he's never on the face tube.
That's right. That's right.
I'm never.
Well, actually, months. He'll never
Yeah,
see it.
he'll never see it again. Yes.
All right, 1389. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 1389 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the great agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. So glad you're here. Can you believe it? It's October. I can't believe it, man. Halloween's this month, Thanksgiving's next month, and we'll be closing out 2018 here shortly, and then it'll be marathon weekend. Oh my gosh, I got to stop because, as I said in the ad read at the top of the show, we're in double digits now for marathon weekend. So if you're running, probably about the time to lace up the sneakers. Get ready.
Probably.
And especially if you're running Wine and Dine, you're going to be tapering soon. So good for you. That's going to be sweet. So anyway, let's get to answering your listener questions. That's why you're here. That's why we're here. And the whole team is back. They even let one of them back in the country. So we have Rikki. She's from a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com, touringplans.com, and the Mouse for Less, formerly of the Disney Magic. What's up, Rikki? How's it going?
I am enjoying the weather outside here in Atlanta much better than the weather in Canada. It was a little chilly for Rikki. No, it wasn't so bad, but I'm enjoying the 80-degree temperatures again. So that's nice.
So we're going to talk about your cruise on Friday's show. So stand by for that. Come back on Friday to hear about, it's a very different type cruise. We've always, at least I have always cruised to the Bahamas or to the Caribbean where it's tropical palm trees. That's my idea of a cruise.
Yep.
We went north out of New York City to Canada, to Halifax, to Quebec City and places like that. So just real quick, like a sentence or two. I mean, was it kind of strange, like not being hot and not spending time on deck in the pools and stuff like that?
It was definitely strange not having a traditional not vacation, but like what you think of as vacation. I think a lot of people think of the warm tropical temperatures and activities and stuff like that. So it was definitely different for sure. And I won't say whether that's good or bad. You're going to have to find out on the podcast on Friday. So, but yeah, it was definitely different. And we'll leave it at that for now.
All righty. Okay. Can't wait for Friday. So stand by for that. Also joining us, we have the co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel, who's heading on another adventure here shortly. West, way west. What's going on, Pam Forrester?
Way west. Way west. I get to see both Disneyland and Alani too. So during the week of, the couple weeks between October 15th through the 29th or so, I don't know what it is, but anyways, whatever that 2-week period of time is, I will be staying at all 3 Disneyland hotels.
Wow.
As well as Alani.
That's awesome.
We go out to Alani. So really looking forward to that. We'll definitely be doing some shots of the rooms so that people can see that. That is actually something that we always get requests from people. They want what is the room actually like? And I try to do a video often that talks about the things that I look at when I'm in the room. I don't know if other people necessarily look the same, but I'm going to mention the toiletries, and Alani has its own kind of toiletries.
They do have their own toiletry. I have them in my cabinet. So, yes.
So anyways, we'll be talking about toiletries, storage, and the organization of the rooms. Those are 3 things that are very important to me.
Comfort of the bed, also very important.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, you'll get an opportunity to see that. I'll absolutely try to do some walkthroughs of Alani to show people that, because it's just gorgeous.
It is.
And do that. And we'll do some fun stuff in Disneyland too. So look for that while we're there. And I'm, in full on panic mode. I mean, I have a bit before I need to go, but the list of things I'm going to try to get done before I leave is stacking up. So that's how it goes, right?
Yep. Can I give you one pro tip for the?
I'd love one.
Here it is. Now that you have the iPhone XS Max like me, you need to make these videos in Memoji form.
No, don't do the Memojis. Do not.
In your body of an animal like a robot or a unicorn or something. No. I mean, I've inundated everybody I know with these videos. So I'm just telling you, it'd be a big hit.
Pam, don't be a 12-year-old girl. Okay, there you go.
I will take that under advisement, Riker. Thank you for the suggestion.
Hannah knows. All right, let's get to the questions. That's why you're here. And I'll inundate. Let me know. I'll inundate you with some Memojis. And
I heard it looks really profesh. If you,
it's scary. It's kind of like the scary clowns that were around a couple years ago. It's almost scary as that. It's just not right. Anyway, Jessica's got the first question of the day. It says, please help me be the best wine and dine half cheerleader. Hey, BOGP crew. I look forward to your podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it keeps me company as I work. You guys are the best, and I'm hoping you can help me out with a question regarding cheering on some runners during the Wine and Dine half marathon in November. While I participated in many Run Disney events over the years, I finished my first Dopey last year, and I'll be back for more in January. Yes, see you there, Jessica. We're crazy. I've never run the Wine and Dine half. Sadly, I'm not doing it here either, but I'll be going down to cheer on a good friend who's running this race. The halves I've done before have all been the Epcot to Magic Kingdom and back course, and I'm at a loss as to how best to support and cheer on these runners, especially my friend. Do you have any advice to the best locations to cheer for this race? I'd love to be in a couple different spots, but I don't know if this is logistically possible with the course. I don't think my friend submitted a chip time, so I'll assume she's going to start at closer to 6 or 6:30 a.m. I'm so excited to have the chance to cheer on the runners at this race, and I love any advice you guys would have for the best plan of action. Thank you so much for making me smile 3 days a week. Jessica, she's in Washington, D.C., which if you didn't know, it's our nation's capital, but you probably do. And I gotta send a shout out to Jessica for this email. Every time she put the word cheer, she capitalized the letters.
Good job.
You went the extra mile in this one. So if I was still teaching Jessica, you would absolutely get a gold sticker on this email just for that effort. And if the chat room has any advice on this one, throw it in. We'll get that up there. I've only run this new course, I call it the morning course, one time, the first year that they moved it from a night race to a day race. And I believe it was the one that kind of went past the I remember running past the trash facility, the waste facility. So what I would suggest is in these races, I'll tell you, they've kind of gone away from the concept of having runner cheer folks on the
Yeah,
course,
which is
which is
weird.
super disappointing as a runner. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
Super disappointing because my favorite parts, and I know like even marathon Sunday and half marathon Saturday for Dopey, honestly, you get to run through the castle, you get to run through some pretty cool stuff. My favorite parts of the course are the TTC, which isn't real exciting except for the fact that you have people around you, people cheering with great signs, get you pumped. Animal Kingdom parking lot really stinks, except for you get to see all the great folks that are out there cheering with awesome signs. So the people matter to me when I'm running. I love that more than really anything else. I would just say, look at the map and just see where they're allowing folks. You might just want to pick one spot because it's really hard to get around in these races. Rikki, I know you do a lot of cheering, but is it better to go for one good spot and not stress, or do you try to hit multiple places? And if so, how's that go?
Well, since I don't know the course right now, and I don't know where it's going to be running past, I would say probably stick to one place. I would not suggest doing it by the end of the race. It's just because everybody and the brother is going to try to be at the end. And as a runner, that's a great place, for you to see me. It's also, I would rather you be on the course somewhere else because I will need that boost somewhere else on the course. So I would say find a place where you can actually see that they will be allowing people, like you said, and then stand there if you can, somewhere in the middle section of the race. And I think that would be the most successful for cheering, especially for your runner, because they are going to need it at that point.
Pam, do you have anything to add? Because again, I don't cheer a lot of the races, I tend to run most of them, but you've done a lot of them and it's really helped. So what strategies have you learned for somebody? She's a runner, so she's really it's weird because it's a new experience with the cheering. So what do you offer her?
It is. I mean, for those who are cheering, it kind of is. I agree with what Rikki said. You don't really want to necessarily only be at the end. It would be nice to be able to see whoever you're cheering on at different parts in the course. And, we used to always try to look for places where it was going to be challenging for the runners, or we could offer a little something. And Disney has made that a lot more difficult than they have in the past. There's really, only so many spots that you can cheer. But I think it's a cool thing. And for those who are going to watch, try coming up with a sign too. I mean, lots of people love that. Lots of people will stop and get their picture taken with your sign. You get a lot of engagement when you have a sign or something cool like that. We always try to do a funny one or two, and so it's fun though. It's a good thing. It's a good time to be out there. It's nice to be encouraging as a runner. I hope that y'all get to see a lot of people there, but just know that there's going to be big stretches where Disney is making that more challenging, but they do often supplement with like some character greetings and stuff like that too. So still lots of magical miles, as they say.
I can't remember if that one goes through the boardwalk in Beach Club area, but if it does, I had a horrible race the last time I ran this course, and I was really sick, and I barely finished. I walked it in, so I don't even remember the course that much. I was just lucky to get to the finish line. Thank goodness some of my friends walked with me. It was thanks to Phil and everybody that brought me in. But if it goes by Beach and Yacht Club and Boardwalk, that's my favorite place to kind of stand around. Just go to the resort. And that's a great place where you can get up close and personal with the runners. And the signs are great. Mom's panelists always have great signs. They have Steve Harvey ones every year, which I love. I was picture with those. You guys had awesome ones. You need better friends. I like that one too. So real quick, let's get to some questions here in the chat. Megan's asking, can I grab Magical Express to leave from a different hotel than the one I'm staying at? She's 23 days out till her trip. Pam, what about that? Can you grab Magical Express from a different hotel?
Unfortunately, you cannot. Disney makes you go back to the hotel you're actually staying at to pick up Magical Express. There's a few reasons for that, and a lot of them have to do with the luggage and everything like that. But no, you can't do it. You have to pick it up at the resort that you're staying at. And they're actually much more particular, I think, about letting you back on the bus to get to the airport than they are even about letting you on the bus to get to your resort from the airport. They, most of the time, time, I mean, they want to see that piece of paper. So make sure it shows up at your resort. Usually get it the night before you're going to check out. Or the morning before you're going to check out. So make sure you have that. But yeah, you do have to go back.
Yeah, and the first time, like when I first started flying, and I was new to all the Magical Express stuff because I always had a car. Like we cut it too close, to make the Magical Express back to Orlando International, and we came up as our bus was departing. We saw the Magical Express bus, and we knew that was probably ours. We saw it leaving the hotel. That was the biggest nightmare after that, trying to get on another one, because once you miss it, the other ones can actually be full, and they cannot find you a spot. So they're going to have to like get us a cab or something like that to get us to the hotel or to get us to the airport. So it was a big nightmare. So I'm just saying, just be careful with that return to Orlando International and Magical Express. Get there with enough time, and you do have to have that paper. So, I always thought it was very just kind of casually hop a bus, no big deal. Kind of like going to a theme park. It's not like that. They're pretty particular. All right, let's get to a question from Jessica. She says, suggestions on doing the Fantasmic dessert and VIP seating. Worth the price in order to avoid the difficulty of getting a good seat. Assume it is the same seating as the VIP dining package purchasers. Rikki, what would you say as far as going, with the Fantasmic dessert party and the VIP seating for Fantasmic? I mean, it is kind of a hassle to get in, but is it worth the extra cost? Is it worth the perks?
I mean, I think if it's worth it to you, it's worth it. I Fantasmic is not my favorite, so it's really hard for me to say go all in for it. But if that's something that you really want to make sure that you see, now I think you can get seats, without purchasing the dessert party package or the dinner package. There's too many packages that start with D. I think that you can usually get seating unless it's like a really busy time of year. But again, that's just me. So if you really want to have the desserts to have while you're watching the show, then I say go ahead for it. But personally, I wouldn't. But then again, I don't really like Fantasmic either. So.
I mean, I would look at it as you're going to get, if you really want the desserts, you're going to get the best seating, and you're going to get, it's basically, it's just a plus experience. You're going to have a kind of a premium experience. You're going to enjoy it a lot more, I would say, because of, when you have desserts, everything's better.
Absolutely.
You're not going to have to fight the crowds as much, but I mean, of course, it's just where do you want to put your money? Is that an experience you want to have here rather than something else? So
right.
I would just go with your heart there. All right. William's got a great question here. Kind of topical. What is the best place for a late lunch before the Christmas party? We used to do Kona, but we heard it isn't the greatest anymore and are currently doing Morimoto Asia. Any other ideas? Pam, where would you go before the Christmas party for a nice late lunch to kind of hold you through the party? Because after that, you can just have all the goodies.
That's true. I love having later lunch sort of in the Magic Kingdom area. So a few places that I'd consider is the Wave. First of all, we've had some great dining there, and just, find has some good options. So look at the menus over at the Mouse for Less, because I think that's like step one, make sure there's something there that you want. Another choice is over at the Grand Floridian. You can do 1900 Park Fair if you're looking for a character meal. Although you'll have to do dinner for that one, or you can go ahead and try the Grand Floridian Cafe, which is something that's, it's sort of like in the Kona vein. And so one table service credit if you're using the Disney dining plan, but it just has some really interesting options. I think it's sort of a great choice, and you can often get advanced dining reservations there when there aren't any available anyplace else. And so then you're just a monorail ride away from that great party, and you'll have a great time.
Yep, the Grand Floridian Cafe is getting lots of love in the chat. So
there you go.
Option, because you're right in the area there. Boom, your next stop, boom, you're there, and you got to pull down.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Michelle's got a question here. She says, doing our first split stay at the end of October, Coronado Springs Standard View and Yacht Club Guarded View. Are the standard rooms at Coronado scattered throughout the resort? Is there a section that would be more convenient to transportation? My son is in the Disney College program now, so we chase the cast member discounts. Wish you guys could book those for us, but unfortunately, we have to call Disney directly. Michelle. All right, I get that. I mean, if your kid's down there, you know what? You've invested a ton of money in your kid. You may as well eke out a couple bucks here and there when they're on the college program.
That's right.
That's why I keep pushing Paige. Hey, Paige, go down there and work a little bit so I can come see you and justify it. I gotta go see Paige. She's working. Come on. Mysterious. Anyway, so Pam, they are scattered throughout the resort, the standard view rooms. What would you say? You stay there many, many times. If you're looking for transportation, what area might Michelle be looking for over at Coronado?
So the beautiful part, I think, about most Disney resorts that are sort of spread out like Coronado is there isn't just one bus stop. There are bus stops in each section of the resort. So keep that in mind. What I like to look at when I'm looking for something like this is, especially at Coronado, there are really 3 sort of distinct themes at that resort. Now, the rooms are all the same on the inside, but each of the themes on the exterior is just a little bit different. So take a look at those photos and see if it's something sort of appeals to you. And then if so, again, this is the second time I'm doing it, but I'm directing folks over to the Mouse for Less to look at the photos of the different resort sections and then the PDF of the maps, because then you can kind of hone it in. So if what you're really looking for is to be near transportation, then I would put that in your room request or note that on your reservation and just say, I would like to be close to transportation if you don't really care. And then that's the first thing that the Disney cast members will look at, and hopefully you'll get what you're looking for in that space. But I love all 3 of the distinct areas at Coronado, don't you, Mike?
I do. But let me ask you this. I'm just curious because my tastes have kind of changed over the years. So there's three
No.
like you said, they're kind of distinctly different just in their architecture and the feel. So you got the ranchos, you have the cabanas, and you have the casitas.
Mm-hmm.
I will say my new favorite, and again, it changes at Walt Disney World. Everything changes. I think we're all guilty of this. Like, I love this, but then you stay somewhere else and you're like, oh, I love, that. That's how I am with my last resort. I'm like, oh man, it's my favorite overall resort. Then I stay somewhere else. Then I come home. That's my new one. You've heard that over the last 10 years. So my favorite right now, casitas. I like the casitas the best. And I used to be a cabanas guy, and I've actually been ranchos at one point, but I'm team casitas now. Pam, if you had to pick one, you're going to the electric chair tomorrow and you got to stay.
Wow, what a morbid question.
Why were all these questions so morbid when you ask them, Mike Rallman?
Where are you going to stay out of the 3?
So I used to be a cabanas girl as well, because I like that sort of tropical theme, right? I thought that was, and they had the hammocks that were there by the water, and it just felt very tropical. But I will say there is something about the rancho section that is very appealing to me. It feels super themed, I love the dry riverbeds, and it's very aesthetically pleasing as you walk through there. I like to see, I like the colors there that they paint the buildings. I like it. And I don't care where I am in the resort, but I do kind of like that theme. It feels very themed.
I feel like I'm at Ricky's old house in New Mexico, even though
there you go.
Yeah.
So Rikki, have you stayed at Coronado? And
no, that's one of them that I haven't stayed at yet. It's on the bucket list, especially since I did live in New Mexico. It's kind of those places where I kind of want to stay just to see how it compares, but I haven't done it yet.
Good old cacti everywhere.
Yes. There's not that much cacti in Albuquerque. I'll just tell you that right now, or at least not where I lived. So
speaking of cacti, let me just say something. Mallory was doing, because I'm homeschooling her this year, we're doing some grammar work on Khan Academy, which I love Khan Academy and used it with my students for years. But they said the plural of cacti was cactuses. And
what?
Cacti. So I think it's wrong. I don't know. I have to look it up. I didn't follow up, but I was weird. I'm pretty sure it's cacti.
That's very weird.
Yeah, help me out here. Anyway, so let's get to the next question before we go into Khan Academy grammar lessons here on the podcast. That's boring. Next question says tickets and passes before 10/14. It's from Michelle. Hey, BOGP team. With all the confusion around the new tiered ticketing, I'm thinking of buying a ticket for possible 2019 trips before 10/16 when the new policy goes into effect. I'm planning on running a wine and dine, so I know I'll need tickets before then. But if we end up going earlier in the year, also, I'll probably want to buy annual passes instead. I can still upgrade these tickets to an annual pass and pay the difference? ? They apply the value towards the tickets? ? Yes, they do. Also, if I buy tickets now, do I have until the end of 2019 to use them? Thanks, Michelle. She's east of Pittsburgh, 30 miles away from Pam.
Oh my.
She's in the Keystone State, but close to you, within a half hour. All right. So Rikki, I saw that you did some questions on the Mouse for Less. You do your what are they called? Mouse Bites.
Yes.
I believe on Sundays. I think that was yesterday. I was kind of.
Yes, it was.
And you were talking about the tickets. So just instead of hitting Michelle's particulars, what do we know? What do we not know? If you were going to give some advice to Michelle, what would you say as far as the tickets moving forward to October 16th?
What we know is a little. What we don't know is a lot. So that's kind of, and you have to remember, I am coming back from this as like coming back from vacation. So I'm not 100% sure on everything. However, what I have found out is that we don't know a lot of the specifics yet. We just know kind of the broad parts of it. So we don't know like the specifics on how much the pricing is actually going to be per day, that kind of thing. But what's going to happen is that beginning October 16th, the guests are going to be able to access a new online vacation destination planning and purchase tickets priced by the date of the visit. With the when guests are ready to purchase tickets, they'll need to look at an interactive online calendar, which is going to display different prices based on the dates that the guest chooses to visit and states when these tickets will need to be used by during a specific time period. So it looks like that 14-day window that we had is going to also be going away. So it's going to depend on how many days of worth of tickets you're going to buy, how many days you have to use those tickets in. So say, for example, and I'm guessing at this, say you buy a 2-day ticket, you'll have only 5 days to use those 2 days of tickets in.
Ticket plus 3, it seems like the formula is. If like a formulaic thing with my former gifted students.
Got it. Okay, good. I'm glad somebody is doing that. So the calendar is also going to let you see the lowest price days within a month. So if you are looking to spend the least amount of money possible, the calendar is going to show you what days are going to be the best days for you to save the most amount of money. And as we move forward, I can guarantee you that I will have more information for you on the Mouse for Less. Like I said, it's just very up in the air as to like the specifics of everything right now. So we just know kind of a broad basicness. So I know that's. Go ahead.
There will be the option to purchase as like an add-on, like you would the Park Hopper or whatnot, a flexible ticket option.
Yes.
So that will be something that you're considering. But all tickets right now, people don't realize this, I think, because a lot of folks don't think about this, and most people pick tickets with their package, which is there's gonna be an advantage to booking your tickets with your package. You'll actually have the whole length of your package to use your tickets, regardless of the number of days admission into the park that you'll be able to use them. So it just makes it easier for people who are purchasing a package. They don't have to worry about that. As long as they're still within the dates of their package, they'll still be able to use their tickets. And then the other thing is that tickets now do expire. The tickets that were, a ticket that you would buy right now does expire at the end of 2019. Now, when it expires, you do not lose the value, but you will only get what you paid for that ticket toward the purchase of whatever the ticket price is at that point. And that will be the same with these tickets as well, is my understanding. That while the tickets will expire, they could be used to purchase a different ticket. So there's just a lot of things to keep in mind with that. I think what Disney is trying to do is make it a little easier too for folks who do buy packages, that they don't have to worry about all the, figuring out all of this, because it will be figured out for them in the ticket price. So just something to consider.
And I know it can be frustrating for people who are planners like us, because it's like, I want to know what it's going to be. And I get it. And unfortunately, we just have to wait until Disney kind of lets us know what the information is going to be. And they're being cagey, of course, right now about it. So, rightfully so, I'm guessing.
So the way I see it is, 10 years ago, you only needed a high school diploma to book a Disney.
Correct.
And, a couple of years ago, it was a bachelor's. Over the past 3 years, they'd have a master's to figure all this out. Now they're taking us to the doctorate level.
Yes, exactly. And help us if we need to go past that at some point.
Like, they keep adding complexity, but I get it, because the thing is, they're chasing what like professional sports teams are doing. Like when the Cardinals play it used to be the Pirates, now it's like the Reds. Like you can go for $5, but when we're playing the Cubs on a weekend, then you're playing a premium, because that's the most desired game to go of the season, which it makes sense. And that the world's gone that way and Disney's going that way, but it does add a level of complexity. But again, I think Pam nailed it. We kind of sat down and tried to look at this, because we don't know the details until Disney announces everything officially. But the thing is, with the package, it gives you the most amount of flexibility to get the most advantage, right, Pam? That's kind of the thing we're looking at right as of today on October 3rd, when the show comes out. It looks like packages are going to be the way to go.
Yeah, it does. And here's the thing too that Disney is doing. When you book a package, you either get the length of your package stay to use the tickets, or let's say if you would purchase your ticket separately and would have a longer window as something that was past your package stay, or you get that window. You get whichever one is better for you. So you never have to worry about comparing them because Disney's going to give that to you. And I think where we've gotten away from this, and I don't think blame this on is the way to go, but so many folks were buying annual passes for like one trip, and it doesn't really make sense to do that anymore. That's sort of old thinking. And you have to sort of approach it in a new way. So think about that.
And I'm going to shamelessly plug. I mean, I'm not a travel agent, but I think that, this is going to be one of those instances when it is going to be handy to have a travel agent in your corner because they can help you figure out what the best option is for your specific vacation. So
we'll try.
I'm totally plugging the Magic for Less travel in this one.
We will try.
Pam, you plugged the Mouse for Less, so I'm going to plug the Magic for Less travel in this one. So.
Good. I'm glad.
In a new tagline, we pull our hair out so you don't have to.
That's right. Exactly.
There have been many discussions about this. The scenarios that if A, then B, there's an Excel sheet, a formula that's dependent on if this, then that, so many things. There's a pivot table.
Yes. I did say, like Disney, you're killing me here. Like, I mean, I've said that a few times over the past
right?
week. Yeah, it's part of the job. So that's what we do. All right, next question. Girls trip, 3 generations going to Epcot's International Festival of the Arts. It's from Maggie. Hello, BOGP family. Well, I feel like your family in my car, at least. We're just like we're like podcast karaoke for you, Maggie. We love it. We just don't sing.
Nope, I would say no singing, but that's not true either. So yeah.
She says, I'm taking a trip in January with my mom and my daughter, who's 4, for a little girls' getaway to watch a college dance competition that is happening over President's Day weekend. We've gone for this event before, but never just the girls, and never doing Epcot's International Festival of the Arts. Neither my mom nor my daughter like rides. Why are you taking? I'm just kidding.
Oh my, yeah.
They're just kidding. So planning this trip has been completely different than previous ones. My husband and 7-year-old son are thrill ride junkies like me. Here's what we have planned so far. We booked a royal guest room at Port Orleans Riverside. Perfect. Brunch at Cinderella's Royal Table. My daughter loves all the princesses. Check. Morning tea at the Grand Floridian. Oh, yeah. I like that. Pinkies up. We're planning for fast passes for Frozen Ever After and Enchanted Tales with Belle, as those are 2 that are at the top of our list. And they're taking a water taxi to Disney Springs for some shopping. All right. So far, this sounds perfect. So here's our questions. Number 1. When staying at Riverside, is a garden view room or a river view room better? It's January, so I didn't see the advantage of a pool view room. Are there preferred rooms at this resort or areas you would recommend when staying there? Okay, so stop there. I will say we stay at the Royal Guest Rooms a lot at Riverside. We love these. They're so much fun, and they're in a great spot too. But Pam, would you say Riverview room is kind of the way I look at it is if you want to stay at the very best room at Riverside, it's a Royal Guest Room Riverview. That's my all-time best. That's the best room you can book, right?
It is. And you know what? There is something about the river view. I think being able to look out and see the Sassagoula, the mighty Sassagoula. I don't know. I mean, I always think of like the mighty Mississippi, but the mighty Sassagoula is kind of a cool thing. And you get to walk down by the river. I think when you come in and out of your room, I always love that. I mean, it just makes my trip feel like, hey, it feels a little more romantic. But even if you aren't looking for romance, I just think it feels cool, doesn't it? Just to be able to see the water. So
yeah, I love Riverview. And plus, when you have a Riverview room, you're always going to be kind of closer to the path because the path is right there along the river and it's a quick jump over the bridges to the main area. That's
right. Good point.
Question 2. We have 3 days in the parks and know that one day will be Magic Kingdom and one day will be Epcot, but I'm torn about the third day. Part of me wants to go to Hollywood Studios to see Beauty and the Beast live on stage. You're the one. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Yeah.
And the first time in forever, but having already done a Belle and a Frozen themed attraction with our fast passes, I also feel like we would get more out of going to Epcot again, given they have the festival. My mom is a big foodie, plus they have Disney on Broadway shows. Do we know yet when Minnie's Runaway Railway? Disney, why do you do these names? Now we got to get used to saying that one. That's
right.
Do we know when Minnie's Runaway Railway is going to open in Hollywood Studios? I can't wait for this new ride. So that would be the one thing swaying me in that direction. But all I've seen is 2019, which in Disney language could mean anything.
True story.
Since we're watching the dance competition, we aren't able to hop around the parks, giving the half our day is spent at Wide World of Sports. All right, Rikki. So she's exactly right. On 2019 could be December 31st or it could be January 1st. We don't. It's usually towards the end. Any news on? This is what I'm going to practice before we podcast every Monday and Wednesday. I'll be going. Minnie's Railway. Minnie's Runaway. That'll be my vocal.
You got Mickey. You forgot Mickey. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Yes, you gotta add Mickey.
Okay, so any word on when this cool attraction that used to be a Great Movie Ride is going to open?
Right, that used to be the beloved Great Movie Ride. Did she? So I missed it. Did she say that they had a date in mind, or it was?
Well, she's looking. She's going obviously in January.
She's going in January.
So I don't know that she.
No, it's not going to be open in January. I can guarantee you that. If I had to take a guess, I would suspect that the Runaway Railway will probably be opening by the summer of 2019. And if I had to suspect a date, I would highly suspect somewhere near Memorial Day. But again, they thought Toy Story Land would be open around Memorial Day and it got delayed for about a month. So, if you're a guest who's really looking to make sure that you get to experience the new attraction at Disney's Hollywood Studios and Mickey's and Minnie's Runaway Railway, that is hard to say, by the way. I would suggest probably sometime in the middle of the summer. That's my guess.
What I would say too. I would totally do that. And so you might miss that, but
yeah, sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news on that one, but yeah, I think that it's definitely not going to be open in January. So.
And a huge shout out to Craig. Breaking news that cacti and cactuses are both correct. Plural of cactus, according to the Oxford Dictionary.
Got it.
Awesome. I like that they're both correct.
Yes.
Solved. All right. Your third question is: any tips or recommendations for Epcot's International Festival of the Arts, or anything I'm missing as I plan our laid-back girls trip? Thanks for all you do. I enjoy listening 3 days a week and the amazing community of people you have brought together. Maggie's in Spokane, Washington, 2,800 miles from Walt Disney World. So she knows she's flying for sure. All right, Pam. So what do you think? Have you been to Festival of the Arts? I haven't.
I have. And it's really great. I mean, first of all, there's some great food that's being put out for this event. It's sort of a mini, of the other festivals there's not quite as many booths, but who knows? They're always adding more booths to all these other festivals. So maybe it'll be like a mini food and wine or flower and garden. So yes, they have these great sort of pieces of art that you can step into and have your photo taken. So make sure you take advantage of that. It's really kind of a fun thing to do. And the other thing that you'll want to do, I think particularly for this one, just because of what I mentioned right there, I know you're probably already thinking about Memory Maker. Get Memory Maker. I think it's one of the best things you can add on to your package or your stay at Walt Disney World. It's just so cool. And when they have special events like this, they often have special magic shots. And for those who don't know, the magic shots are the ones that they're like, walk up here and hold your hands like you're gonna get something, or look up there and be surprised, or point down there, and then they insert something fun that you get to see afterwards. So the magic shots are typically there, but even if you just had them for the pieces of art where you get to step into the art and have your picture taken, I think it would be worth it. So have fun.
You know what I find? It's what I love about Disney is it's not always the big things that become the popular things. It can be the smaller kind of hidden gems that people enjoy. With this festival, it seems like one of the most popular things was that big paint by number where it was like a community paint. I mean, that surprised you, but I love it because what it is, it's the guests making the art, and that's what the festival celebrates. I love that things like that become popular when it was probably kind of an afterthought, I would guess, in a meeting at some point.
I agree. It wasn't meant to be, I don't think, something that was awesome. I think a paint company typically sponsors it. And every time we've gone, we've painted our little square to do that. I mean, hello, don't you want to be a part of that? Something, so community oriented. So as a community member of Epcot, I want to be a part of that. So that's a cool thing. I think there's so much about these little festivals. And I know so often we talk about, Epcot has festival after festival after festival, but but this is really this is a cool one, and I want to try to keep it a secret. So don't tell anyone else how cool it is.
Oh,
Once you get back, just keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. So
Rikki, you've been to the festival, right? Too, right? No,
I have not. No, it is on my bucket list of things to do, and maybe 2019 I can make it happen. We'll see. But I really want to get to this festival because, like Pam says, it seems so cool. I mean, the activities that they have, they do seem a little more low key, but they also are. It's that whole edutainment thing that Epcot is so famous for. I mean, they have some fantastic like workshops and seminars that you can sit in on that are free. I mean, don't tell anybody they're free. Because like otherwise Disney's gonna start charging for them. But you can learn.
Breaking news: they're now $10.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can learn things like cake decorating and calligraphy and flower arranging and card making and animation. And I mean, there's just a ton of activities that you can learn. And I think that's some of the most fascinating things about this festival is the educational things that you can really sit down and do. I mean, I would be terrible at cake decorating, but I would sure love to sit down and learn how to try to do it. So, you know, those kind of things are really awesome. And then also another thing that really is entertaining to me is they have the Disney on Broadway concert series. And this is where they bring artists that actually perform or currently, well, I guess couldn't currently perform, but at one time performed on Broadway. And they are there to perform classic Disney songs. And I mean, you want to talk about something that blows you away. This concert series definitely just, I've seen videos of it. The performers blow me away every time I see something from it. So I think this festival is a fantastic festival, and I need to get down there for this festival. So maybe I was actually thinking about that today, ironically enough, I need to figure out a way to get down to Festival of the Arts.
Just got back from cruise, Rikki.
I know, and you don't even want to know when I'm thinking about going back down to Walt Disney World, by the way. You don't want to know. It's in less like a month, so.
We're preaching to the choir today. All you know.
I know.
Go, Rikki. You'd have a trip plan. That's why we love each other. That's why everybody loves each other in this podcast family.
I just got back from a cruise. I gotta do something else, Disney. It's like the itch that doesn't stop.
7 things have changed since you've been there. You got to get back and check them out.
Exactly.
It works. All right. Next question: shipping wine from Disney. It's from Claire. Hey, BOGP crew. My mom, sister, and I are planning an upcoming girls trip. These girl trips are kind of taking off, man. Everybody's going on girls trips. They're going to Disney World October 11th through the 15th to enjoy the Food and Wine Festival. Last time we were in Disney, December of 2017, my sister had asked about shipping wine home from Epcot and was told it was not possible. My question is, has this rule changed at all during the Food and Wine Festival? Or are you still unable to ship wine home? Thanks for all you do. Claire's 1,239 miles from Walt Disney World, but she doesn't say where she's from. So I'm going to do a big swoop. I'm going to do like a radius and figure out where you are. Anyway, so I don't know. I've never tried to ship wine home. So Pam, what do you think? Any thoughts?
So I actually haven't tried to ship wine home in a while. I think it has a lot to do with the different vendors that are there and what their rules are, and in addition to Epcot's rules. But here's something I will tell you about. There is something, if you go ahead on Amazon, you will find this. It is called a wine diaper, I believe.
Shut up.
Okay.
Okay, remember, if you're going to buy a wine diaper, remember it's BeOurGuestPodcast.com. I don't know how much the suckers are, but use the link.
So a wine diaper is basically a container or a big Ziploc bag that sort of has a padding, an absorbent padding like a diaper, in which you can put a bottle of wine, and it offers some protection with the padding. And also on the off chance that it would break, it would absorb it. And then there's like a Ziploc, a major.
Wait, so you can squeeze the wine back out? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, no,
It wouldn't get all over your clothes. So you can pack it in your checked luggage. So it's actually kind of a cool thing. And we have taken them. We actually took them when we went to Europe because we knew we'd bring something back. You're still, I know that you probably don't want to take 20 bottles home in there. The other thing you could do, of course, is I guess buy wine and then ship it back yourself. But I'm not sure. I don't want you to break any state or federal laws in this process. So I don't know.
just in case. This is not Mike Rallman on this podcast.
So, just check into that a little before you leave. But the wine diaper, that way you can go ahead and put that in your check luggage, and it protects the things that are in there with your luggage. So
it protects things. Okay, so we're talking about wine diapers. That means it is time for the last question. We're getting out of here. So this one is from Natalie. Hey, Mike, Rikki, and Pam. I'm a relatively new podcast listener, and I love y'all's podcasts. My husband and I are going to Walt Disney World in February for the Princess Half Marathon. This is my second half marathon and my husband's first. This will also be his first time visiting the happiest place on earth, and I was hoping to get some advice. You guys are going to have a great time. The race is 5:30, and on February 24th, my goal is to go to the Magic Kingdom once we're done with the half. Is this an unrealistic expectation? We're trying not to set PRs. We just want to have fun. This is our first vacation, just the two of us in 5 years. We have 3 boys that are 4 and under, and my parents will be watching them, so we can have uninterrupted conversations for longer than 10 minutes. God bless you. You're going to not know what to do. If you have 3 boys, all 4 and under, and you're going to just be by yourselves, you'll be so bored. I can just say that's going to be crazy. So would it be a good idea to go back to the hotel and nap, or just power through and visit the Magic Kingdom? We have 3 days at the parks, and I figured we would visit Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios in one day and Epcot the other day. I love planning, but I'm trying to be flexible on race day since I'm not sure how we will feel. I'm afraid if we go back to the hotel to nap, then we'll crash. Then we will crash or for the day, and we've lost a day at the parks. If you have any advice or suggestions on how we should handle race day or just the trip in general, I and my husband, who wishes I wasn't so OCD, would greatly appreciate it. Love listening to y'all. Have a wonderful day, Natalie. Okay, so let me get to the burning question of the day here. You do not, repeat, because I've done both. You do not want to go back to the hotel to shower and nap. You might want to shower, but you do not want to get on that bed. If you do, you're done. One, you're going to get sore quickly, and you are just going to not want to get up after the half marathon for most people. Because like I said, I've done both. Now, I have powered through and gone to the Magic Kingdom right after the half on marathon weekend, and you're better off to do that. You're going to get tired in the evening. You're going to kind of hit the wall, and you're just going to be done. But you don't want, if you go back, you lose a ton of time when you take that nap. It's really hard to get up and get going again. So here's the biggest mistake I've ever made after the half marathon ever. So just warn your husband of this. I went on Space Mountain at about 7:00 at night after the half marathon that morning. Okay. And I hadn't trained very much. So let me just tell you, if you haven't been on Space Mountain lately, and if you're getting to be my age, I'm 44 now. Space Mountain used to be a lot smoother, or at least it's gotten a lot jerkier in the last 5 years. Maybe it's my old bones, or maybe it's just the ride gets jerkier with every subsequent ride. By 7:00, I was exhausted, so almost fell asleep in the queue because it's very dark and peaceful, and I love it. But
the music,
yeah, I know it is. It is. I mean, it just puts you to sleep. It kind of lulls you. Anyway, so that was the Star Tunnel.
I got it. I understand. Yes.
Everybody knows. But I will say, when I got on that ride, have mercy. I just wanted to get off that thing because every twist, every drop, every turn was like rattling every muscle and bone in my body. It was like some kind of medieval torture device. I never wanted to be off an attraction more than I did Space Mountain the day of my half marathon. It killed me. So just don't do that. But Pam, I say power through, but any advice as far as on that race weekend, trying to make the most of it? Because they got a weekend, they're away from the kids. How do they have the most fun?
You have to take advantage of every moment like that, especially when you have kids and you're getting an opportunity to be away from them. I think that's really important. So I, like Mike, I will say that I think at some point you get to that point where you're either going to take a nap and sleep for a very long time, or you're just going to push on through. And, with a short period of time, I think you do just sort of have to push on through and enjoy that moments. Maybe plan like an opportunity to sit down, have a meal. You're sort of resting that way without falling asleep. Besides Space Mountain and a few other rides that will really jerk you around, I think you're going to be safe with most of the attractions. Disney World's not really known for that type of thrilling ride, but yeah, Space Mountain's definitely one. Maybe Rock and Roller Coaster you don't want to do as well, but give yourself an opportunity to do have some opportunity to sit down, be it a meal or just taking a slower pace. Just make your expectations perhaps a little lower. Don't expect to get 100 things done.
So let me close out this show and this email with one piece of advice. Suck it up, Buttercup. Just get going and have a freaking magical day.
There you go. Yes.
That's going to do it for today's listener question show. Thank you so much for those great emails. Send those into mike@beourguestpodcast.com or join us live on Facebook on our Be Our Guest Podcast Facebook page over at facebook.com/beourguestpodcast. We do most of these shows on Monday evenings around 5:30 Central. The fun gets started, and we always appreciate everybody that has joined us today. So thank you so much for that. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by our friends over at virtualmickey.com, home of great iPhone apps like Theme Park News, Disney Edition, where you can get the best news to read every morning and evening, anytime on your smartphone. And of course, Rikki just dropped as I'm getting ready to do the ad read for her, where she tells us what's going on. So I'm just going to encourage you. There's lots and lots of things happening in the Disney universe. And you can get these. It's a free app for your iOS device. You can check it all out. So check out these and other great apps over at virtualmickey.com. Also, don't forget to support the show through our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Anytime you do that online shopping, whether it's something you need or not, usually it's things I don't need, but I purchase anyway. I just love, it's like the new Santa. Like when I see the Amazon truck coming down the street, I'm like, ooh, white minivan. Oh, yes. So when you do that, just click through beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. We'd really appreciate that. Also, give us a follow on social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Be Our Guest Mike and at Be Our Guest Pod. And again, drop by the Facebook page at facebook.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. All right, time to get out of here. And we're going to go look for Rikki because we kind of need her for Friday's show because she's talking about her cruise. So for Pam and Rikki, I'm Mike. Wish you a great Wednesday. Time to head back to work, and we'll see you real soon. All right, let me save that. Hey, Facebook, we got to find Rikki.
Am I not here?
She dropped on me. Let's see, episode 1389. Yes. Bring her back in. Real funny.
I was there the whole time.
Real funny. Leave me hanging.
I was there the whole time. I don't know what you're talking about. I could hear you. I was like, what is Mike talking about? I said, what is Mike talking about? I'm here. I can actually tell. And then I realized that he couldn't see me. So
could you see her, Pam? I couldn't.
And then there was another point in time when I couldn't either.
That's bizarre. I was totally here. Not even
trying to fix it without messing up, the stream. Like I was trying to
Yeah. It's all right. I'm sorry. I don't know. I didn't know that you couldn't see me. Otherwise, I would have stopped the camera earlier and come back on. So my bad.
Okay, let me grab.
Right. We did part of an ad read in the middle of the thing, so it's fine. Or a news read, I guess I should say, with the whole ticket thing. So Mike left to go to the bathroom. Where did he go?
I think he was going to do something.
Oh, okay, got it. So, well, I'll give the news update right now. So, breaking news. Not really. Okay, it's not really breaking because it's coming back. October 21st, Rafiki's Planet Watch and the Wildlife Express will not be available to guests visiting Disney's Animal Kingdom. Don't worry, it's coming back. It's gonna reopen.
The internet lost their minds last week.
It's gonna reopen in the spring of 2019. So
people have not been to Rafiki's Planet Watch in years, lost their minds.
So.
Took the goats to that theme park connection, couldn't sell them, and they're like, we're just gonna reopen.
Oh my gosh.
That's what really happened. And everybody could see you but me, apparently, in pain.
Apparently, oh good. So see, I told you I was here.
Really not in my view. I don't know what happened. So my fault. I make mistakes. All right, let's hear about your cruise. All right, let's do this.
Okay, I'm ready to talk.
All right.
Who's ready to hear me talk for a half hour?
Here we go. All right, 1390. Welcome to episode 1390 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the great agents over at the Magic for Less Travel, who's been busy. Speaking of Disney Cruise Line, I've been talking to them a lot this week. It's been fun. That's what we do. I love the great cast members over at Disney Cruise Line. I know some of them actually listen to the podcast, so shout out if you're tuned in today. And go get some sleep because it's been a crazy week. But we're going to be talking some Disney Cruise Line today. Of course, we sail with Disney Cruise Line quite often. We got the Be Our Guest podcast cruise coming up this summer on the Disney Dream, June 28th, doing a double dip to Castaway Cay. Not that I'm excited. And there's still room if you want to join us. Just send me an email. We'll see what we can do for you. But today, we're not heading south. We're not heading to the Bahamas or the Caribbean. We're heading to Halifax, and we're heading to Quebec City, and we're sailing out of New York City. And we're talking about the Disney magic. And the star of today's show is going to be Rikki from a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com, touringplans.com, and the Mouse for Less. What's up, Rikki? Eh?
Hey. Bonjour. That's all I really.
Gracias.
Gracias. No, not right. I said a lot of merci though, so that's good.
All righty.
But, I'm excited to talk. You don't want to hear me talk right now. You want to hear me talk later. So let's bring Pam in.
Let's do that. Pam Forrester, co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel, who has also sailed the classic ships and has sailed to not always tropical locations. What's going on, Pam?
It's true. And I loved that transition. That seems so professional. I'm just going to say, didn't it though? Like it kind of.
I'm not professional. Let's just be honest.
It really did. It seemed like we know what we're doing after 1,300 episodes. How many?
We tried.
We know.
What's today? I don't know. Whatever episode it is. So, anyways, happy Friday. I'm so happy to hear about Rikki's cruise. I'm excited to hear about it. We had kind of a whole team representing the Mouse for Less and the Magic for Less travel on that cruise. So it was awesome. They took one for the team, I guess.
We did. Totally.
All right. So I can't wait to hear about this cruise. So, like I've said, I've sailed many, many times with Disney Cruise Line, Platinum Castaway Club member. I love that little magnet that sits on my refrigerator. Makes me excited every time I go.
I'm gold now.
Yay!
Yes, isn't that sweet? That's awesome. But like I said, I've only gone places where it's palm trees and beach balls and hot weather. So,
Yes.
but I'm very curious because I've never seen New York City myself. Never been to Canada, and I've always said someday. This is one of my dreams, and I know you can't do this on the cruise. Well, maybe you could have. No, you probably couldn't have. One of my dreams, you couldn't have, because I want to go to the heartland of Canada, like Saskatchewan or, somewhere like Calgary or somewhere. I want to go play a game of pickup hockey on a Saturday night in a beer league sometime. I'll get to it because I'm getting old, but that's one of my dreams. I think that'd be so sweet. But anyway, that's just a little bit more about Mike that you didn't care about. But let's hear about your cruise, Rikki. Less about me, more about you. So tell us about your cruise.
I mean, in Bay Como, you could have met I think it was Bay Como. Yeah, you could have met the hockey team there. They were outside, and we met Snorri, who is the hockey mascot. We saw him multiple times. So
is he like sleepy?
No, he was like a Viking. I don't know. It was weird, but it was really fun. I mean, it was all like in theme with exactly what I would expect Canada to be like. So
don't use the word weird. Let's use the word.
I know. He was like, he had a big face with blonde hair. I mean, he looked traditionally Viking. It was interesting.
You've seen the new mascot. This is totally off topic, but let me ask you this real quick. Have you seen the new mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers?
No.
Yes.
His name is. That is the craziest, the nightmare-inducing mascot in the history of mascots.
Yeah. Okay. Well, nightmare-inducing is so much better than weird. So anyway, let's just move on with the cruise. So we've gone on a very bad tangent to start with. So we sailed out of New York. We got to New York. We heeded Pam's advice. And we got to New York the night before. We always want to make sure we actually do the proper thing and get to the port area ahead of time. So we took our flight out the night before, and we learned a very valuable lesson. I know that people who live in New York are going to be like, "What? You didn't know this?" But we don't live in New York. Long Island is very far away from New York City proper, so. Don't stay in a hotel in Long Island if you need to get to the cruise port, because it will take you a very long time. B, Uber drivers will not drive you there and they will turn you down. So
I
Wow.
think there's lots of people in New York City. I've just heard that.
Like, yeah, we got turned down on our Uber driver. He came by, he said, I won't take you there, and then he left.
Shut up. That's awesome.
I'm not kidding. That actually happened.
That's exactly a Midwesterner's, like I've never been in New York City. That's exactly what I picture happening. Like, nope, not gonna do it. Slam the door, gone.
So finally, we found a nice gentleman who would take us. So once we got to the cruise port, everything was very easy, simple. I mean, we breezed right through as per usual. It's not obviously as themed necessarily as Port Canaveral, because Disney actually sails out of Port Canaveral all the time, so there's no big giant Mickey ears to walk under and things like that, but it was still obviously you're heading off to a cruise, so it's still a magical place, even if it's not the actual cruise port that Disney Cruise Line sails out of all the time. So but things were very simple once we got through, or once we got to the cruise port. It was very easy to drop off our luggage and find where we needed to go. There were cast members everywhere directing us of where we needed to go, and then we waited for a little bit until it was time to get on the ship. So again, all very simple. Learned some valuable lessons ahead of time.
I'm going to kind of point you in like certain directions with this, because
Yes.
again, we only have like 40 minutes, and I do
yes.
a lot about a bunch of things. And I know that we have listeners that are getting ready to sail this itinerary actually. And
Well, actually, they're actually on the ship. Well, they just got off, so it was so we left New York City, and we went to Halifax, Nova Scotia. Then we went to Saguenay, and then we went to Baie-Comeau, and then we ended up in Quebec. So it didn't return back to the original port until you did the other cruise. So the people actually just got off yesterday, and there were some people that did the round trip, but most people got on at one port and off at the other. So.
Well, Christy was very excited here because she's doing something very similar. So
yes, I think that there are some similar ports, but yeah.
Okay, here's what I want to ask. First of all, okay, you talked about the port. That's very important. Getting to the port, because that's a lot different than
it is.
What you're used to.
That was kind of why I wanted to bring that part up first. It's very different than Port Canaveral.
Here's what I want to hear. Thoughts of the ship as a whole, because we've
Yes.
sailed many times the Disney Fantasy, the Disney Dream, the larger ships, the Dream class. Now you're on a classic ship, which I'm a huge fan of. I love them. They're more intimate. They just, that's my thoughts on them. So give me your thoughts on the Magic. What did you think of the Magic?
I thought it would be because you said I've only sailed the larger ships, so I thought it would be it would feel small, but really it didn't. It felt it didn't feel that much different than the larger ships. I'm not gonna lie. There were certain aspects that I actually liked better on the Magic than I do on the Dream and the Fantasy. I very much, even though I love Remy, I very much really liked Paolo better on the Magic. It's got an open kitchen, which I learned the Magic and the Wonder are the only two cruise ships that have open kitchens, because there's now basically a law that says you can't have them anymore on cruise ships. So that was kind of cool. I felt like Paolo was definitely a little warmer as well on the Magic. The feel of it overall was I feel like a little bit that the one on the Fantasy and the Dream are a little more, because it's a lot more reds and stuff like that. So I feel like it's a little more dreary. No, it's not, but you know what I'm saying. It feels a little darker. So I also really liked. I really liked that I didn't have to walk as far up and down stairs, which was very handy. I'm not going to lie, when you're walking up and down the stairs, when you get to deck 9 and you have to go up 2 more decks, that hurts your legs there. But when you only have to stop at deck 9, that part is much better. So that part was great. Obviously you've got Rapunzel's Royal Table on the Magic, which is relatively new. It is I really thought it was a very interesting restaurant. They put on some shows for you in the middle while you were dining. There's for this cruise, because it was a 7-night cruise, there were 2 different shows that we got to see. So I thought that was really good. Now, I do have a little bit of a sticking point with them. We were seated at a table that was kind of off to the side. I found it a little bit hard to hear and be drawn into the story a little bit in those tables. If you're seated more in the middle, I feel like you would be very much more drawn into it. But because of where we were seated, I did feel a little taken away from the, kind of the story. So just keep that in mind if you are at one of the outside tables. But we also, you know, they have different shows on the Magic as well. So I was excited to see Tangled the musical, which was fantastic. Disney did a great job. There are a couple of different songs that are in Tangled the musical as well. And then, of course, they do the Snuggly Duckling takeover. Oh my gosh, the Snuggly Duckling takeover.
So cool. That looked
It's O'Gills, and it is so much fun. I actually ended up showing up late a little bit to it, and I was so mad that I did, because it was seriously just so much fun watching these entertainers. I mean, it was completely improv, or it felt that way anyway. So
that totally, to me, it kind of to me looked like the movie come to life cross with Adventurers Club.
Absolutely, 100% felt like that. So that was really cool. I really did like the ship. I liked the spa. I know that the rainforest room is a little different on this ship. You don't get the view out in to see you know, everything. It's enclosed. And if you are like me, I really like the hot tubs. The use of the hot tubs, and you do have to go outside to go to the hot tubs in the adult area. Granted, that's not that big of a bummer, except for when it's freezing cold and you have to go outside to the hot tubs like it was on our cruise. And you have to share it with all the other adults. So it's not just a private hot tub. But I did like that it actually, so on the Dream and the Fantasy, I sometimes feel like I'm drowning because the hot tubs, the way they're angled, I'm a short little person. And so
you're like 3 feet tall. So, I mean, I don't have that.
Yeah, exactly. So I enjoyed the hot tub much better as well. So I really liked the Magic. I thought it was a fantastic ship overall.
Let me just ask Pam real quick, because again, you know, I like the Magic and the Wonder too, but it's like 2 minutes, like for folks that are like, you know, they're veterans of the you know, the Caribbean runs, the Bahamian runs on the Dream and the Fantasy. What are your thoughts on the Magic and the Wonder if you're comparing the two classics?
So there are some people who love that class of ship better. It is their preferred class of ship. They like, it just feels a little smaller. There's not as many people on the ship. The venues are each a little smaller. They just like that more intimate experience. And I don't think the Dream or the Fantasy are so large that you can't still get that, but I do see the appeal that people have. They like the adult areas better. That's something that frequently comes up.
Definitely.
Classic ships, that they just like the style of the ship. You know, if you've stepped into sort of a Disney atrium, you do there's a similarity. If you stepped into one, then it's going to feel very familiar when you step into the other. But the classic ships are a little more intimate. There are actually cast members who we knew and became close with when they were on the classic ships, had the opportunity to experience the larger ships and then came back to the classic ships. So there are some cast members that have been on those ships for a long time. These are really experienced cast members. Some people like the food the food a little better on the classic ships. And I think that's interesting, since they are serving a lot of the same food, but there must be something about kitchen size or whatnot. I'm not saying that one is always better than the other, but that's just one of the things that people mention on that.
I get all that.
It's just, you know, they're two different experiences. You know, I think there's more going on the big ships, obviously, because they have more space to do more things. But I mean, that when you have smaller, you know, less guest count on a Magic or a Wonder, you have the opportunity to have a more intimate feel and shows and experiences with your dining. You know, it's just they're two different experiences. One's not better than the other, in my opinion. And like Jennifer says, she loves the intimacy of the classic. She says the Wonder is the best because she loves Tiana's beignets. Hello.
Sounds good. Yes.
Okay. So, Rikki, real quick, we're talking about the ship, but before we get to the ports and the experiences you had, the stateroom, tell us about your stateroom experience, because that's what a lot of people want to know.
Absolutely. So on the my last cruise on the Fantasy, we actually, Brian and I, did a veranda. Whoa. And I know that Mike talks about how when you have a veranda, you can't go back. We did not have a veranda on this cruise. We actually sailed, and I'll have to kind of explain this a little bit. We sailed GTY. So what that means is we were guaranteed the type of stateroom that we booked. However, if the ship had been, you know, oversold or whatever in that category, we could potentially be bumped up to a higher category. with this cruise, it was heavily geared older and a lot more of the platinum cruisers and the gold cruisers. So I'm guessing a lot of them took all the verandas. So rightfully so, understandably so, right? So we did not get upgraded to a anything but a inside category stateroom, which, you know, Brian and I were fine with. That we understood that going into it, that there was probably an opportunity that we would not be moving up. So we definitely understood that we may be stuck with an interior stateroom. And I have to say, for us personally, it did not bother us. Now, granted, it's just two of us, so, you know, there's not a lot of, you know, excitement going on in the room or anything like that, you know, little ones running around or anything like that. So for the two of us, an inside stateroom was just fine. And Brian and I have actually discussed this because of the type of cruise that it was, where it was up to Canada. It was cold, and trust me, there were some days where, especially the second at sea day, where you didn't want to be outside. You wanted to be inside anywhere you possibly could go. So
Pittsburgh in February.
It was so freezing. But I mean, we did go out to the hot tub that day, and we were just like, so it was very cold. But
isn't this fun? We went on. I love it.
Exactly. I love you. This is awesome. But can we go back into the spa now? Thank you. Yeah. So because of the type of cruise that we took, I don't feel like we missed out on anything. The only thing is, it's a good thing and a bad thing. The only thing about an inside stateroom is it is all dark, which means I have a very, it's awesome, but it's also hard because I have a very hard time then waking up in the morning to get me up and like actually get going. Like I'll look at my phone and I'm like, it's only 8 o'clock. I can just sleep a little bit more. Like, you know, it's just, yeah, because I don't have children, and I can. So I just didn't have the ability to want to wake up. So that's kind of the only thing that kind of is a bummer. Our stateroom did not have a separate shower and sink. Again, that wasn't really a problem for the two of us because, you know, it's just the two of us, and, you know, Brian has a different kind of schedule than I do anyway. He gets up early and goes running, and then, you know, so it kind of works out well for us. So really, you know, we didn't find the size to be too small. It was perfect for what we were doing, and we didn't have any problems. I can see if you had a larger family or little ones or something like that, where you may want a little bit extra room. But for us, it was perfect.
All right, so let's hear about the ports of call, because again, these are places most, you know, unless you go on this cruise, you're not going to hit these ports. You know, it's not like most people are going to hit, you know, the Bahamas, or going to hit, you know, Jamaica or Cozumel or something like that if you're going to the, you know, to the Caribbean or the Bahamas. But what did you think overall? Because what I saw, like if I had to sum it up, again, just watching your coverage, which I appreciate you sharing so much on social media with us. Thanks for taking the time to do that. Was that, and we have a lot of listeners in Canada, and every listener that I've had interactions with through email or social media or what have you, met in the parks, you know, it's true what they say about Canadians. Like if a Canadian steps on your toes, they're going to apologize, you know, or you step on their, I forget what it is. It's like, they're always so kind to you. I probably screwed that joke up.
No, it's very true though.
But like, it seemed like these communities were just like so excited to have you come visit their ports. Was that not true?
Oh my goodness. I cannot even express how excited these communities were for us to be there. You know, our first port was Halifax, and in Nova Scotia, and that's the one that it wasn't like they weren't excited about us being there, but Disney has been there before, so the excitement wasn't quite the same as it will be the rest of the cruise. But they have a beautiful boardwalk that we walked along to go to the Maritime Museum. We did not, I will say, we did not plan any port adventures except for one on this cruise. And the only place we planned a port adventure was for Quebec City. I now wish that I had done that one on my own, knowing what I know, but I was glad to have experienced a Disney port adventure, and think that maybe if you had some more specialized port adventures that you wanted to take, it would be a better thing to do with Disney. But I had no problem doing things on my own, and Brian and I really enjoyed figuring things out to do on our own. So we went to the Maritime Museum, which I think we were the youngest people in that museum, by the way. it was interesting because Brian actually found the Maritime Museum to be the more interesting part of what we did while we were in Halifax, whereas I found we went to the Citadel as well, and I found that to be the more interesting thing. So different strokes for different folks, right? Even in our own family. So the Citadel is actually, because I believe that Halifax was actually British rule, and so it was a spot where the British had a lookout point basically for invaders. So
Citadel means fortress, right?
Yeah, okay, good.
Just make sure. Okay.
Yes, okay, awesome. So anyway, so but the Maritime Museum was interesting because there were some artifacts from the Titanic that actually had been brought there. So that was kind of interesting to see some of that stuff as well, especially because I grew up watching Titanic on TV. So
let me just throw this in here because actually I had no idea that you went there. But the thing is, I followed them on Twitter, and I have for years.
The Maritime Museum?
Yes, the Nova Scotia Maritime Museum.
Really?
And here's why. I'm kind of a Titanic freak. Like I've always liked the story
of
Titanic since I was a kid. And the thing is, every April, or at least they did a few years ago, they live tweeted the timeline of the Titanic.
That makes sense.
As it was happening, like in real time, like the day, the minute, the hour. And so they did that. And and I follow them, and they're still a great follow on Twitter. So look them up. I mean, I've never been there, but I followed them. So that's so cool that you went there.
That is kind of cool, actually. Yeah, not knowing that you actually follow them. That's kind of interesting. So the next port that we went to, and this, it's kind of a tie between this port and Quebec City, I think. But I really feel like Saguenay really rolled out the red carpet for us. You talk about being excited to have us there. Saguenay was so excited to have us there. They actually they had, because we got to that port a little later in the afternoon, I think, or morning, I guess I should say, and they had people that dressed in period clothing that were dancing. They had welcome signs, that they held up. They had the ability for you to eat blueberry pie, drink blueberry juice, because they're known as blueberries. That's what the citizens are known as.
I love it. It's like going to a town in the Ozarks or something.
It absolutely is. They did. So they do something where they pour maple into ice, and it kind of makes it get not hard, but just freezes it up a little bit, and then they roll it on a stick, and then you eat it kind of like a lollipop. Oh my gosh, that was so delicious! I'm not even gonna lie, that was so good. So.
So do you buy these things at the port, or they just do them for you?
They just did that for us. That was just something that they wanted to do for us, so we could kind of learn.
You need to start charging the tourists for this stuff. They have
they have money. Oh, trust me, the port's got our money. I will guarantee you that. They had people they had people who were there, and this was what I think a Monday, who literally were lined up. They had it kind of barricaded off. These folks were literally lined up, waiting and waving at us like we were celebrities getting off of some giant somebody getting off the ship. I mean, I love it. Was amazing, and I'm so thankful that they welcomed us that way. It was so cool and humbling and awesome. It was incredible. So thank you if you were one of those people, because that was incredible.
You are internet famous, Rikki. I mean, you realize that, right? They're like, Rikki's on this sailing. Len Testa was on this sailing.
Len Testa was on the sailing, yes. Yes. So, but we did the hop on, hop off bus tour. Brian and I did for this one. Again, that was very interesting, getting to learn about the city. We did, again, we didn't have any research. So we did the little White House, which is basically this, the whole area around this place got flooded. And the only thing that was remaining was this little White House. So that was very interesting. It was great to kind of learn about the history of these towns that you didn't really know beforehand, but it made me more well-rounded as an individual, because I got to learn about what makes this town, what is important about this town. And this was what was important about the town. Which
I don't mean to cut you off, but which is so different than the excursions I've gone on in the Caribbean or the Bahamas.
Absolutely.
It's not water sports or, there's Tulin, you can go to see the pyramid and stuff like that. I mean, which is very educational, very historic based. But it seems like everything you did was very cultural, which I appreciate. And with the Disney touch, I think was it the Little White House that had the animatronic, or was that something?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I was not expecting these audio animatronics, and so I walked into the room and it scared the bejeebus out of me because I was like, oh my god.
All of a sudden, you're in the Carousel of Progress in the Little White House.
And like they were so close. I mean, you could get so close to them. And the one, I had to laugh in my head because the one, and I know this is an animatronic of an actual person, but she kind of looked like Sophia from the Golden Girls.
Like she's gonna start smack talking you.
It was just kind of one of those bizarre, surreal moments in life. But that was very cool to kind of learn about that. Second, I also had some videos of like they had a big screen and they were showing Mickey Mouse cartoons. So they definitely were very excited that we were there. So the next port we went to was Bay Como. And Bay Como is the most adorable little town that you've ever been in. It is so small. Matter of fact, they actually had to cancel school for the kids because they needed the buses to take us to the main part of the town. So,
oh my goodness.
Loved you guys for real. They got out of school because of you guys coming to town.
Exactly. Yes. So they absolutely loved us. They had this adorable little Main Street type thing, and it reminded me so much of Main Street St. Charles. Just these cute little shops. They had a cute coffee shop that we stopped in. They had a antique store that we went into, and they knew what they were doing. They put out all the Disney merchandise that they had right up front.
Put some ears on that thing. Put some ears on it. Sell it for double.
Exactly. They had a brewery, kind of thing that we also stopped into. Got some, Brian and Ben and Kristen got some Canadian beers and ciders. We did. There was this adorable little girl, and she only spoke French, so it was very kind of difficult to have the conversation with her. But she was selling the best lemonade that you can get, and so we purchased lemonade from her, and it really was fantastic. So that was good. And it was this cute, quaint, small town. And it was just adorable. I loved it. It was so fantastic. Again, really getting in with the culture of the city is kind of what we did in this little town.
I love this. So Pam, you've done experiences like this too. Again, I've said this I've said this 100 times already on this show. Like I only go to like the touristy Bahamas, Caribbean on cruises, but sounds like this is such like the yin and the yang of cruising, and you've done this as well, like where you get to be part of these towns, which you really don't do when you go into the Caribbean or the Bahamas. So what do you think?
Yeah, you do. I think in places that aren't so traditionally locations that tourists go to, you have opportunities to really experience what the culture is like, right? That's so much of what Adventures by Disney does well. And you also have these kind of opportunities when you do things like that. I think that it's experiences like that you really take away something. There's so many places you can go and check things off a list, right? Eiffel Tower, check. This, check. But the things I'll remember about seeing, some of those spots are something that I have meaning with, I had a connection with. And when you get to meet people, or you get to eat the food that they serve there, or you get to spend time, to interacting in a way like that, then I think you have a much more, I don't want to say genuine, because I think all travel is genuine. Whether you're traveling to Walt Disney World, I think that's a genuine experience and whatever, but you have something that you can really go back to and think about that way.
Yeah, like you're in these people's hometowns. It really sounds. I mean, it sounds like to me like the Canadian Pavilion is not really a propaganda film. It's real. Like these people want you.
No, they did. They did.
All right,
absolutely.
So I love this, man. I feel like you're kind of antiquing. You're kind of cruising.
We did everything.
Blue plate specials. I mean, it sounds
absolutely. I mean,
it sounds kind of fun too. Go ahead.
Pam, you talking about kind of taking in the culture of the town, and really absorbing it. Kind of one of the best things we did in Bay Como was sitting, and it was me, Brian, John, Jeanette, and Ben and Kristen, and we were all just sitting outside this coffee shop having coffee and talking. It was just a fantastic experience. It wasn't anything. We weren't, zip lining or, doing crazy stuff, water sports or anything, but it was really just this it was just adorable. I there's no other way to, describe it. It was just an adorable little setting, and seriously, it's going to be one of the things that I take from this trip, because it was one of the best experiences that we had, just sitting there chatting, and and that was the best. So anyway, moving on, the last port that we went to, port wise anyway, and this was interesting because the ship actually overnighted in Quebec. So that was something that really they don't do very often. And so the, all aboard time was whatever. So once we got there, we didn't really have to get back on the ship if we didn't want to. I mean, we had to, get off the ship, to actually go, get off the ship. But, like, you didn't have to be back on at a certain time. You could have stayed out all night if you wanted to, and partied in Quebec City if you really wanted to. I mean, that was really unique, because obviously, we're always so stressed of, okay, I have to get back to the ship at this specific time, whatever. So we did the thing where we did the tour first. Like I said, we did the Port Adventure tour, and they took us to the old, basically the old Quebec City part. Again, so quaint, so incredible. It was a lot of like little shops, cobblestone streets. The buildings were all close together. They were all connected, close together type thing. They were brightly colored, doors, and they had it all decorated for fall, and it felt very homey and really awesome to be there. So that was kind of cool. Although I do wish that Disney Cruise Line had switched this on the itinerary. So I wish that we spent more time touring around the old town, Quebec. We saw the Chateau Frontenac, which I have been corrected is not the inspiration apparently for the Canada Pavilion. So sorry, I got that wrong. It does look just like it. My bad. So anyway, so we did that. So we got to see the hotel, which was cool. But then we went to the thing that I really wanted to do was go see Montmorency Falls, which was this kind of dam type thing, and it had a waterfall. And luckily, it had rained that night, so the waterfall was really coming down. And I really wish that we had gotten more time there, because they had a line where you could go across to kind of get to the top of it, kind of like the gondolas at that they're building. So they had kind of one of those that you could go on. We could have walked around a little bit more and climbed up closer to the waterfall, and we really didn't have time to do that. We only had 20 minutes there by the time all was said and done. So I really wish they would have flip-flopped that, because it was really easy to walk. We actually walked back to Old Quebec. So just some feedback. I know Disney's probably not listening to this, and they may not go to Quebec ever again, Quebec City anyway, but if they do, I would definitely flip-flop that, or I would have done it on my own, just kind of a thing that I learned, but I learned, so that's good. So we walked back up to Old Quebec City, and we had lunch. So we stopped at this cute little cafe. I had a delicious croque monsieur. Oh my gosh, so good. And then I finally had poutine for the first time ever. I wanted traditional Canadian poutine, and this was definitely traditional Canadian poutine. So it was the French fries and the gravy and the squeaky cheese curds, because they got to be squeaky. They got to be squeaky. So I'm so excited that I get to try it. It was like I was on a mission to find, I know that sounds weird, but I was on a mission to find like traditional Canadian poutine, and like a lot of the places had the fancy poutine, and I said, no, I don't want that. I don't want it with duck or with, chicken or whatever. I want traditional poutine. So I finally found a place that actually had that listed on the menu. So
you wanted like the White Castle of poutine.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice. That's what I'd want.
Absolutely. And then it was a maple pie there, and I thought it would be more like pecan pie, kind of gelatinous in a way. But it was more like a pumpkin pie. So that was, but it was delicious. It had a very light maple flavor to it, which was very good. So I did find a Tim Hortons. So I tried Tim Hortons coffee, of course. Got to do that. And then Quebec City did an amazing thing for us. That evening, they actually put on a fantastic fireworks show. And I mean, This was incredible. It was a 15-minute show. Fireworks and the view that we had from the ship was just incredible because you had the Chateau Frontenac up there, and then you had the fireworks off to the side, and just the way it framed was simply gorgeous. We could hear the music. They played Disney music while we were watching the fireworks. They even played some songs in French, which was awesome. Of course, they played Beauty and the Beast with the Celine Dion version. So yeah, we had some Celine Dion in there as well. So that was fantastic. And then the next morning, because we didn't have to hurry off, we actually found a fantastic, and I think it's a famous bakery. It's Paillard. And oh my goodness, it was the best croissant I have ever had in my entire life. It was so buttery and flaky. And seriously, the coffee was some of the best coffee I had too, because I had a Cafe LA, and that was incredible too. It was just, I highly suggest finding Paillard if you're, can find one. It was so good. I don't know if it's chain or if it's just there. It was so good. So, yeah.
So did they not play "Oh Canada" during the fireworks? I mean, that'd have been the perfect thing to play on the ship. I mean, if you don't hear it, like Canada,
no, I've never heard it. Brian sang it, but I never heard it. Oh, yeah.
He sang it in French too, but in Spanish.
Yeah, in Spanish. Yeah.
It's a different twist.
That's exactly.
It is.
You gotta appreciate the originality there.
Absolutely.
Were you the only ship though there while they did the fireworks? I mean, they did that just for you guys?
Yes, they did. Yes, they were so excited we were there because it was the first time the ship had ever been in this port. So because of that, the ports did a lot of unique things for us because of that. Although I have seen that Saguenay did fireworks as well, and they did some of the dancing and stuff like that and the blueberry juice and stuff like that for the people who came on the ship just got off. The people that just got off that ship, but the fireworks were specifically for our cruise. And granted, if you were in town the night before, like a good person should be before you're getting on a cruise ship, you would have gotten to see the fireworks in Quebec City the night before, if you'd been in Canada or Quebec City that night. So
what a way to get excited for your cruise, though. I mean,
oh my gosh, yeah, it was incredible. The people came down to by the pier, and they got dressed up in costume, and the townspeople actually came down and did all that. It was just they had a fantastic event. I saw food trucks and stuff like that down there, so it was really cool what they did. And it made the paper because I saw it when we were sitting in Paillard, the paper. So
did you bring a copy home?
I didn't. I should have. I didn't want to steal the copy in case, I had to pay for it. Like at Starbucks, you can't take the paper; you have to pay for it. So.
Buy one. They're like $1.
Well, the line there was super long, and Jeanette wanted to go back and get coffee, and she couldn't because the line never got any shorter. So we waited in line a good 15 minutes for our coffee and croissant, and it was delicious. It was well worth the money. But
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this was a Halloween on the High Seas cruise.
Nice.
So yeah, I know, as if there's not enough to throw into this cruise. It's a Halloween on the High Seas cruise. So we got to experience that. It was kind of cool because we got to see them putting this was the first cruise for Halloween on the High Seas on the Magic. So we got to see them putting up the tree, which was really interesting to kind of watch how that process goes.
Just the fact that it's a Halloween tree, not a Christmas tree. It's a Halloween tree.
It is a Halloween tree. Yes, it is. So basically it was for us, it was on the day at sea. We had 2 days at sea, so it was on the second day at sea. Guests were invited to wear their costumes, and we saw some very fantastic costumes. You also so they had 2 different times where you could go and participate in Mickey's Masquerade Party, and that's where the characters danced in the middle of the lobby there. They also did trick-or-treating, so you could go around and you got your little bag of candy, and it's the same bag that they give out at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So you got a little bag. They played games, so you could do some fun little games that you could play while you were walking around trick-or-treating as well. There were, I think, about 5 different stations that you could go to. And of course, you could go to them multiple times if you wanted to, although, you didn't want to seem too greedy. So we only went around once. But, if you really wanted to,
go around more. Go a bunch of times.
I know. I was good. I was a good girl. But they also kind of one of the interesting things that I thought is once the Halloween on the High Seas night started, and I don't know if they did it before because I didn't see it, but they had some of the merchandise that they sell at the Disney parks. So they had the Oogie Boogie popcorn bucket. They also had the Disney Parks refillable mug, you know, the one that they're offering right now, that's specialty Halloween refillable mug. I totally bought the refillable mug, not even gonna lie, even though it's, you know, I'm not using it in the resorts. I wanted the refillable mug, so about that. They had the apple jug thing that people are going crazy about as well. So they had the Disney popcorn, you know, the popcorn bucket that they sell in the parks as well. That's a refillable. They had that too, and you could get refills for $1 for popcorn. That may or may not come back with me when I go to Walt Disney World. Anyway,
quick rant. Why does popcorn cost money on a cruise? Everything else is free. They charge you for popcorn. Seriously,
I know.
Never. Anyway, go ahead.
I know. I'm with you, but then everybody would eat the popcorn. So anyway,
you can get as much lobster as you want, but you gotta buy popcorn.
You gotta buy popcorn. Yes, exactly. So the last thing we did, in the evening, and Mike and Pam, you guys well know that the entertainment and the adult clubs in the evening are just bar none so much fun. We had a great host in Matt. Matt was a cutie patootie, and so we had so much fun with him. And so the night that they did Halloween, though, they actually, you know, we had a Halloween costume contest for the adults. So that was so much fun as well. So many people got into it, really dressed up so fantastically. I can't even imagine how much went into some of these costumes. And they talked about how much went into some of these costumes. People were sewing and, you know, doing some fantastic stuff. So people really went all out. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun to get to see kind of what people did. So that was Halloween on the High Seas, and it was definitely a lot of fun that day.
All right, so what was our crew? What were you and Brian for Halloween?
So I was Minnie Mouse, and I had, you guys have seen my dress that I wear all the time, and I put on the ears. Brian's costume was a little more interpretive. Brian, when we went
under the bus, he's not here. Come on now.
No, I've said it multiple times that his costume was interpretive, because he we went to the Disney store here in Atlanta, and the clearance section, they had a kind, you know, like the Hawaiian shirt material, and it had Wally all over it, and it was yellow and it had Wally all over it. So he went as Wally. So
he actually Disney bounded, apparently. That's kind of what.
Not really, because he just wore a, you know, Hawaiian shirt with Wally all over it. So yeah,
it's closer than being Wally. I mean, I would say more Disney bounded than became Wally if he just wore a shirt.
He went as Wally. So yeah.
Okay, so real quick, because we're running a little long, and
I know. I'm sorry. It's hard to talk about a 7-day cruise, and
I totally want to book this one now. Like, and I totally
it was so much fun, and I hope that Disney does this cruise again, because it really was a lot of fun. By the time all was said and done, like, it really was so much fun.
So you kind of mentioned this earlier, but I would imagine, just guessing, time of year, destinations, type of cruise. We always typically sail in the summertime on the bigger ships. This one skewed more adult. So how did that overall feel the cruise go? I mean, I'm sure you saw families too, though.
I heard, and I don't know how true this is, but I heard there were only 300 children on the ship. So not a lot of kids. I mean, the kids club, if you had a kid and you wanted to be in the kids club, you really did have the run of the place, because, you know, the cast members were probably very there for you, because there weren't a lot of kids on there, you know, that spanned all the different age groups of the clubs too. So, you know, that was kind of insane, because I'm so used to sailing in the summer and there being just a ton of kids. Again, it did skew a little bit older, partially, I think, because of the time of year of the cruise, partially, I think, because of the fact that it was the first sailing of this itinerary, and, you know, you've got the platinum and the gold cruisers, and they really like to be on the first sailings of these, you know, inaugural itineraries. So I think that helped to skew it kind of older as well. So yeah, it was definitely different, though. You know, it was very quiet, I will say, like, and part of it is maybe because a lot of people were inside and stuff like that, but I really didn't see a lot of people, and I don't know if that's because the Magic, is smaller, or just because of, it was an skewed older or what. But when it hit 8 o'clock, I didn't see a lot. Like, there weren't a lot of people walking around the ship.
That's my cruise, baby. 7 up, get up early, go to bed early, and you eat at 4 o'clock.
So, but of course, we did go to the clubs in the evening, because I learned that on the last cruise, that you definitely want to go to the clubs in the evening, because they're so much fun, and they really were. They were a blast, and you had your usual crew who hung out in the clubs in the evening. But even that, it wasn't like super packed, although it did fill up, as time went on. But yeah, it was a very chill cruise. I've got to say, it was so laid back, which was awesome. So yeah, that's the best way to describe this cruise, is really laid back and chill.
Okay, so main dining was at 4, late dining was at 6:15.
It felt like it, but no, dining was at the same
right
time.
there. Okay, so real quick, because this is what I love about cruising. So what was we're long, but this wraps this up pretty quick. So what was like the one unexpected thing, as far as like maybe an event that happened in the clubs, like some kind of onboard entertainment? Like I love like the hypnotist, or like the guy who saws people in half on the Dream a couple years ago. Whatever, pulled something out of his nose. The stuff you don't sign up for, but you like.
I got it. I got this. And it was, honestly, I did not think that I would enjoy this. I sat there. It was one of the first things that we did, or the first, entertainment acts. And it's this guy named Marcus Monroe. All right. And Marcus Monroe is a juggler / comedian. And the words I have for this, and I mean this in the most loving way possible, was hot mess. But I mean it like it was hot mess that worked. There was another show that was not so working later on in the cruise, but this was just, I mean, he knew he was a hot mess, and he played that up. Like, he really did. He was so entertaining. I have video that I'm gonna post on the Mouse for Less eventually. I think I'm gonna do some vlogs that I recorded while I was gone, and I have some of his act, and oh man, it was special.
Did he like try to juggle and like his balls hit the ceiling? Like,
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so he's been on one of the cruises I've been on too. He was a mess, but that must be his act. And please don't take the quote out of context, by the way.
I was worried.
I laugh like a 5-year-old. It's fine. Yeah. No, yes, I know that's his shtick, and I could tell it's his shtick, but it was totally entertaining. And at first I was like, all right, let's watch this guy. This is going to be so dumb, but it really was entertaiing. So I very much enjoyed him. Yeah, hot mess, but he was fantastic. So yeah. Also, never mind. I already talked about it. Snuggly Duckling. Okay, go ahead. Never mind. We're good.
So real quick, we're going to wrap this up, but like 2 minutes, Sam. I mean, this is one of those unexpected itineraries where I think, you think of Love Boat, you think of tropical places, you think of, hot weather, swimming pools, and wave runners. Totally not that, but I mean, something that I'm pumped up to try something like this. And it sounds like you've done this, and it is kind of a different experience, but a fun experience.
It is. And that's why I think that Disney Cruise Line keeps opening up different itineraries. They keep taking people to new places. I mean, with 2020, look, we're going back to Hawaii. You have Panama Canal again. And you're sailing from New Orleans.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's what's great, is that they keep offering these kind of opportunities. The European cruises in the summer are exceptionally popular. And who else do you want to cruise with in Europe than Disney? I mean, they're going to have activities that appeal to your children. They're going to try to tailor some excursions that appeal to the whole family. But on those shoulder months, like at the beginning of the season and the end of the season, they're going to have fantastic itineraries that will have more adults, like Rikki has said here. So they really have something that appeals to everyone. And the other thing to remember is, I think that Disney does a multi-generational cruise in a way that other cruise lines just aren't quite as good at yet, right? If you're going grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, and grandkids, and kids, that I think that there's just always something that's going to appeal to everyone. So I think that Rikki, talking about this was a great example of, don't be afraid to look at some other dates or some other itineraries or whatever. I know that people, the second they hear that it's not going to Castaway Cay, they're like, but it's all okay.
Absolutely.
It really and truly is. You're still sailing with Disney Cruise Line. So.
Absolutely. And if you would have, at first I was like, okay, I don't know how, because I'd only done the Caribbean cruises, I don't know how entertaining this cruise is going to be for me as far as the ports of call. But really, it is what you make of it. And, we made it fun and special and really, like I said, absorb the culture of Canada. I feel like that's what made it fun. So, I feel like that you're right. I wouldn't want to sail in the European countries without probably Disney Cruise Line, or maybe with the net of Disney at first, because I would want to have that safety net of, okay, I understand how this is now. Then maybe I want to go back on my own after I've gotten a taste of it. But at least I feel like with Disney, I have that safety net of, okay, now I can see what this, now I can see what the taste of it is like. And I think you learned that on your cruise with, that you just did, Pam, too. So.
All right. So last question. We're way long, but I got to ask this because for the old school listeners, they got to know. Did you catch Len Testa doing any shots of maple syrup? I mean, you're in Canada, for goodness sakes. I mean, if you're ever going to have a relapse, it would be on this cruise for Len.
I did not catch Len because, and I don't even know if he stopped and ate the maple when we got off in Saguenay, because I saw him before we got off the ship at that port. But then they left us and we hung out on the top deck for a little bit longer, and I didn't even see whether he ate the maple there. So he's gonna have to let me know.
He's a recovering maple syrup addict. So
yes, I'll have to ask him.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. Thanks again, Rikki. It was a lot of fun, and it really opened my eyes up to some new experiences. So thanks for sharing. And where can people check out the pictures? Because you took a ton of pictures while you were on the cruise and videos.
I did. So I'm going to be posting them on my own Facebook. So, but I also posted them on pictures on the Mouse for Less, all of their social sites. And then I posted it on the Be Our Guest podcast social sites as well. And then, like I said, I did take a lot of video in hopes to vlog a little bit about this cruise. So that's my goal, is to sit down and really kind of piece these videos together and make either one or multiple days worth of vlogs, so you can kind of really see what this cruise was actually like. So those will be on the Mouse for Less at some point.
All right. Well, sounds great. And thanks again for hanging with us today, because we know it's a little bit longer show, but definitely an experience we haven't had over the last 10 years.
No.
But,
for sure.
So don't forget, today's show brought to you by the great folks over at the Magic for Less Travel. Again, the 2020 summer itineraries are out, son, on New Orleans, heading out to Hawaii, Panama Canal. Lots of great places. Just drop by themagicforless.com. Check out all the great details. Of course, the experts, the agents at the Magic for Less are experts. They sail the ships. They know the itineraries. They can help you with all the required documents you're going to need to sail, and, when your payments are due. And the best part, here's the best part. You get their expertise for free, and they basically pay you for booking with them. You're getting a nice onboard credit to spend on, the rainforest room, or to head to Palo.
I love that onboard credit. Yeah.
Whatever you want, man. It's money waiting for you when you get on the ship. I mean, hey,
that's right.
When in life does that ever happen? Hey, let's
that's
go.
Right.
There's money waiting for you when you get there, right there. So just drop by themagicforless.com. Right now is the best time to book, because the earlier you book, the better your prices are going to be, and you're going to get the first choice at those staterooms that are the most desired as well. So again, just drop by themagicforless.com. Let them know you heard about them here on the Be Our Guest podcast. Don't forget to support the show when you shop on Amazon. So beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon is that link. Thank you so much for using that. Give us a follow on the social. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Be Our Guest Pod and at Our Guest Mike, and drop on the Facebook group at facebook.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. All right. It's been a long one, but thanks for hanging with us. We hope you enjoyed the show, and maybe you're saying, hey, maybe you need some maple syrup right now. Who knows? But the good thing is it's the weekend. So whatever you do, stay safe. We're going to get out of here. So for Rikki and Pam, I'm wishing you a great weekend. I'm Mike. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you real soon. All right.
I'm sorry that was so long,
no,
but
that was awesome.
And really, I mean, there's
this cruise now so bad.
It was so much fun. I can't even tell you how much fun this cruise actually was. I wasn't expecting a lot because I didn't know what to expect, and since it was the first time that Disney Cruise Line had ever been there wasn't a lot of information to find out about it. So I did the best I could and then went from there. So
Man, I love that thing because I love Canada. I mean, I've never been there, but I mean, I've played a lot of hockey and met a lot of people from Canada. It'd be sweet.
it was awesome. So I highly suggest it. I hope Disney does this itinerary again or
Me
something.
too.
Similar.
Yeah. And Rhonda, apparently Rikki has fallen in love with your Nova Scotia.
I did. I totally fell in love with Nova Scotia. So
I love it. And it's so cool that we have listeners all around the world. So Rhonda, thanks again for
it's awesome. And I want to say thanks to the listeners that I met, by the way, too. Jonathan, who brought me cupcakes, by the way. Totally forgot to mention that.
Yeah, we totally forgot to mention that.
I totally forgot it. Yes.
And you dropped it, monkey cakes.
Dropped it, but that's okay.
Oh,
He
Jonathan.
made amazing cupcakes with our faces on them. So I'll post those on. I'll post those on the Be Our Guest Instagram and everything because yes, I wanna share those. He did an amazing job. Met Evelyn at the port. She was waiting for somebody else actually, and she saw me and she's like, "Are you Rikki?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." So had a great chat with her. Actually, ironically enough, one of the TSA agents apparently listens to us too that I ran into in Chicago. So that was kind of cool too. So yeah.
I love Jonathan because he makes cupcakes and tacos. Both.
He also makes coffee, and I have a delicious bag of coffee that I can't wait to grind and make. So it's gonna be amazing too. So
And he's the nicest guy in the world too. He's just
he is
great soul.
So
Yes. So we will.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, I'll cut you guys loose and Facebook. You guys have a good night, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Good night.